Hello and welcome to our report card for the XPonent. If you haven't seen one of these before, basically what I do is go back and revisit a ball that's been out for a few months to check in, see how popular it's been, see if I got it right in the review, and report on how much we've used it and what it's best at. Also, since it is a report card, I will actually be giving out grades, or a rating rather, using the new Kool-Aid meter. The staffers always robe up and pass the cups out for every new release, but are they still drinking it a few months down the road? Angel's the only one that drilled an XP, so just her for this one, but you'll get to see two different patterns. Chromium is our typical test pattern, which is on lane 22. It comes in at 42 feet long, 25.5 mils, and just under a 7-to-1 ratio, so it's on the high side of medium for both length and volume, and is not as forgiving as a house pattern, but not as challenging as a sport pattern. The house shot on lane 20 is similar to Kegel's Easy Street, but with a little bit more volume. More friction on the outside, more oil on the inside, but it's more challenging than most typical house shots. Strikes aren't as free here in League as they are at other places. Big shout out and thanks, as always, to Royal Crest Lanes for getting it set up for us. All it takes is a text and we have everything we need. To get started here, Angel's layout is her standard 4 5/8 by 3.5 by 2.5. This is the same layout she uses on everything, plus we took her ball down to 1000 grit with Jayhawk Bowling Supply's Diamond Dust pads on a resurfacing machine, before finishing with Storm's Reacta Scuff to get it up to a 3000-ish grit sheen. Angel's our control tester because her game represents the medium speed, medium rev, average league bowler, and every ball she drills gets the same layout and starts with the same surface prep to establish a basis for comparison. The XPonent features a familiar core and a possibly new cover, or at least a new cover naming convention. The Shrapnel 2.0 core from the underappreciated Ordnance C4 comes in at a 248 RG and an 042 differential in 15 pounds, almost identical numbers to the Madcap core from Roto's Daredevil series, by the way, and the cover is the 701 Reserve Blend Solid. I have some thoughts on what it's similar to that we'll talk about in a minute, but I'd imagine it's in the S70 something range given the line it's in and the general strength and reaction zone they were targeting. I'm going to reiterate what I opened the review with to get us started because nothing has really changed. Initially, it's a perfect beyond perfect reaction for Angel. It has major hype solid vibes right away, but the stronger core definitely gets the ball rolling sooner, pun intended. When the surface was fresh, plenty of dig and traction, then it started to slow down a little as it lane shined. I think fresh chromium in general is just too much for this ball in the first place, but it gives us clues to where the cover fits. I've mentioned in my videos that this is why I test balls shiny, because everything hooks with surface on it, but there's a lot more visible difference in cover strengths without the free traction of surface. If you can manage to follow this, I'll try to go slow. The S70 cover they've used quite a bit on balls in this line, like the Ordnance C4, Wolverine Dark Moss, Honey Badger Intensity. It's virtually Storm's R2S, which is on the IQ Tours, High Road, and Phase 5, which is a little stronger than VTC from the hyped Solid. I think the 701 Reserve Blend cover is a little stronger. Not much, because the strength level still looks familiar or similar. Most of the covers in this zone can be really strong with surface on them, but when they start to shine, they drop off pretty fast. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. That actually makes them incredibly versatile, plus the ball will lane shine as the lanes are transitioning, and that might keep you in the ball a lot longer. It's just a different wrinkle that affords you a lot of options and that can be used to your advantage if you work it right, but as I've found with the tour dynamics, it's not that great of a thing as a lefty. Balls that show larger reaction differences, shiny versus sanded, have to be usable or look good when they lane shine on the left side. If they do, you'll be fine, but if they don't, surface doesn't last long enough to be efficient or relevant enough to mess with it. The XP seems like even with surface, it's still a ball down from something else at the most, but a perfect third ball because it really does seem a lot like a Daredevil. Something that's pretty clean up front, but rolls strong in the mid lane and then walks in. It's great for a mid stage of transition where you still have something to work with but have to move inside and need a blend of stability, control, and firmness to keep you in the pocket, but keep you striking at the same time. Angel's experience with it has been mixed, and you've seen on some of these flat 10s or where the ball didn't quite hook, the ball reaction is slightly forward, so while the overall reaction is in a perfect zone for her, the shape doesn't fit as well as some other similar balls do. The IQ Tour is similar but rounder, as she actually has a Daredevil trick that she likes quite a bit and prefers over the XP because the trick is very similar. Again, numbers are nearly identical between the trick and the XP. The trick is just rounder and more continuous. This puts the XP in a weird place for her. It reacts fine, and if she didn't have these other balls, she'd throw it more. The tricky part for us is that if something doesn't make the bag, it doesn't mean it's bad or that we don't like it. It's just that with 50 balls trying to make 5 available spots in the bag, competition is tight, and sometimes it comes down to really tiny things. My bag stays pretty static, but she commonly rotates through a mixture of about 15 to 20 different balls, and the XP is still in that zone at the moment, but when she does take it, it rarely gets thrown. I know that sounds bad and that I might sound like I'm trying to talk it up despite that, but remember, I'm not on staff anymore. There's no pressure to tiptoe around anything. It's not the perfect fit for her game that some other balls are, but by and large, I think it's an improvement on the IQ Tour in some ways. She used to love it too. She's always loved all things IQ, but when she needs that kind of look, the trick's a better fit there too. For some people though, the XP is going to be the better choice, specifically because of the shape difference. Rounder shapes can be a little slow and flat for people, while the more defined directional shapes get them up higher in the pocket more often. For Angel, it's still an 8. Scores from 8 to 10 are good. That generally means it's in the rotation. Solid reaction, think it's going to be a good choice for most bowlers. 7 is usable, could take it or leave it, nothing special or unique. 6 and under is where we start getting into mediocre to bad. So overall, if you're looking for a ball in the hype solid IQ Tour XPonent kind of range, you're really just looking for what shape favors your game the most. I don't think that there's a better or worse choice in that zone in general. I of course have a review up for the XPonent covering it from several different angles, plus a handful of comparison videos if you want to check those out. Down in the description is a link to Bowler's Mart that will get one ordered for you. I am obligated by the YouTube overlords to note that I do receive a 5% commission on all sales through the link. Also, of course, don't forget my code Rosdahl10 to get 10% off your order at checkout at CoolWick. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.